See, 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 this is the thing. We start on this conversation about what are we going to talk about and record, and then you go off and talk about it, and then we could have actually just been recording the damn thing and seeing what happens. And it's more fun this way, anyway. Okay, so my name's Dave. I'm a coach, a mentor, and a speaker. I have conversations with amazing people, and great things happen, which is kind of simplifying what I do, and that's a beautiful thing. Linda, tell us about you. But don't go into too much detail because you're like you know everything, and you'll just go on for like 5 minutes telling us all your
I'm
qualifications.
a kind of coach, speaker, and trainer, really facilitator, I suppose. And I help people find their innermost power and use that to move from emotional, spiritual, or physical pain.
Yes. And she has a group, which she'll tell you about later on as well. We were chatting about what we were going to talk about because what we have some amazing conversations, and those amazing conversations tend to have something in them which we know could help other people, and stuff we talk about with our clients. So you mentioned just before I click record, you started off down the path of talking about passion versus purpose. So
Well,
what
really,
were you thinking?
it was both of those, and the reason it came out because I've been thinking about it this week because I'm in a couple of masterminds, and in one of the masterminds I was in, we were talking the other night, and someone was sharing that she had been creating pain for herself, which is actually in my spiritual pillar of pain. And the spiritual pillar of pain to me is why am I here? What's my purpose? What is the meaning of my life? You know, I want to kind of leave legacy really. And she wanted to make a shift and was really struggling in finding, I want to find my passion. Um, and it started me thinking about actually the, I'm going to use an old fashioned word here, the tizzy we get ourselves into about that question, into what am I here for, and how do I know what my passion is, because an awful lot of people don't. So I thought that might be an interesting topic for us to kind of loop on a little
To
bit.
chew on the cud for a few minutes.
What is your thoughts on that, Dave?
It's really interesting because I do the thing where I go on social media and I read what people put, and then you absorb that and you think I want to be passionate about something. Then someone turns around and says, "Don't be passionate about something because passion is suffering," and it all gets confusing. So passion has to be the thing which is, I suppose, what's your meaning of passion? If passion has a positive connotation, brilliant. If it has a negative connotation, find another word. And purpose could be a good part of that. For me, there's when I think about passion, I think about the Ikigai. So I think about, what is it that the world needs? What do you love doing? What are you good at? What can you be paid for? And because, you can see from where you can see I love photography. Photography is just beautiful. And I remember I've been taking photos for years, but I picked up a proper one, which was that one there. No, not that one. That was a lie. The other one's in there. That was my second proper camera, which was bought for me as a 40th birthday present by my wife. And it's a beautiful camera, but the first one of those I had was in 2008 when my eldest son was born because I wanted to take better photos. For me, photography, I'm absolutely passionate about, but I know if I turned it into a business, it would become a chore and I would not enjoy it. And I've shot weddings, I've done professional kind of shoots, and as much as I enjoy it, I know it's not where I want to be putting my energy. So for me, that's something passionate, which I would not want to turn into something else. But for me, passion and purpose, it's the Ikigai. That's the thing. It's not something which ticks one box. It's something which ticks a lot of boxes. What does the world need? What do you love doing? What are you good at? What can make you money? I don't know whether that answers your question, but that's kind of where my head went on that one.
No, I think it's really helpful, and I know. I mean, I understood where she was coming from because I've gone through my own kind of spiritual crisis, I suppose, and I don't mean by that about religion or faith. It's that question of meaning of life, and um, I won't tell the story at the moment, but 25 years ago, I nearly died in a road accident, very serious one. And I spent a number of years afterwards thinking, I've been saved for a purpose. What is my purpose? And I made it bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think a lot of people do that when they hear find your passion. It's like they're looking for something that, it's this explosion. It's a mountain. It's where's my passion? And it's got to kind of come to them like, with fireworks and lights going off, and and then they'll know why they're here. And I know that that's how my friend is feeling, and I know that's how I felt before. And people get caught up in it, and if you're listening to this, you might be one of those people who's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in this planet. I don't enjoy my job maybe, or I love doing this. I'm not passionate. What is passion? We're rating it. We're almost like having conditions of what passion is. And I think what can make us is get caught up in pain and suffering is that we feel if there's not something that we're passionate about that's in our lives, or stroke and we're earning our living from, then our lives are incomplete, or we are incomplete.
Exactly. And there's so much which is kind of I'm hearing, and so many kind of thoughts of conversations I've had recently where, and I've been guilty of this. I remember in 2015 that I started being coached as part for my business as a podiatrist when I had a clinical practice, and the vision which I kind of stood up and said I want this in 3 years' time was a 3-site practice turning over 3 million with 30 staff. That's all the threes. And I was like, yes, that's what I want, because what I'd heard is other people standing up in the room saying the same thing, and I thought, I want to be part of that, and realised that actually it wasn't what I wanted at all. Ultimately, what I wanted was to be happy, and ultimately what I wanted was to feel joy and feel comfort and not feel stress. There were so many things I was running away from things rather than running towards, and when I think about this, and there's another video which will go out at some point, which is where you did your reverse goal setting, or backwards goal setting, or retrograde, whatever goal setting it was, where it wasn't looking at goal setting from the place of what do I want to achieve. It's how do I want to feel based on my past experience of what I felt. And maybe for me anyway, what I hear with all of that is, well, actually, maybe my passion is to feel what I want to feel from life, and my purpose is to make that happen, and my vehicle to make that happen can be whatever you want it to be. And I say this to my clients. If I've got a podiatry client, or a foot health practitioner client, or a physio client, it's you're at the centre of this, whatever your profession is. We can cross out the name of your profession and put lawyer in, working in Asda, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, as long as you are working towards what gives you that vitality and that life force. And maybe that's the definition of passion for me, is it's what makes you feel energetic and vital on a day-to-day basis, which I think is what a lot of people search for.
Well, I love that about thinking about it from energy and vitality, because I think almost the word, my passion, kind of gets in the way of people because of how they perceive it, and because that they're almost like rating things on is this passion, or do I just like doing it, or whatever. So I think it's actually helpful to put it to one side. And the backwards goal setting we did the other night is a great place to start of thinking about when I do, when the things are in my life. It's like, with a sustainers drainers exercise that both Dave and I have done with ourselves and could do with any of you. It's like, what are the things that are the sustainers in my life? What are things I enjoy? Let me just start there rather than making it super, super complicated. And I could see also when she was describing this the other night is that, it was stressful. Stressful, whereas actually finding our passion should be playful. Dave and I were talking about this earlier, just about play and creativity, and just, it doesn't necessarily have to be, my whole life is around this passion that I can't find. And I think also where the difficulty can be, and you touched on this already, Dave, is when we're comparing ourselves against other people. The disease of comparisonitis is where we're like, oh, this person is living their passion as I perceive it, so I'm not good enough unless I'm doing that. That's what I'm comparing myself against.
Yeah, and that is the curse of looking outwards to fulfill your passion and purpose. It doesn't come from looking out there. It comes from here and here. It comes from this, and there seems to be so much judgment, I think, from people around that. What do you believe in? Well, I believe in this. Well, that's not really good enough to believe in. What I believe in is better than yours, and it becomes really interesting, because you get people who are dejected if they feel for a moment that what they're passionate about is deemed as not important by someone else. it affects things. And actually, it's a case of fuck what other people think. Just do what works for you. And if you want to feel happy in your life, what makes you feel happy? Go and do more of that. And what do you need to do with the other aspects of your life to facilitate that happiness? If that's what your goal is, go for it and see what happens. It's interesting, a creativity thing, yeah, it's creating all that stuff. And I know creativity, or we use the term creation, and it's a coachy word, but actually it's a very, very powerful way of looking at things.
I think so too, because it allows us to be, and I think it's about stepping into that space of creation, which is really about curiosity and possibility, and just trying things out and exploring. And I think that's the thing is, gosh, it's funny, I was making reference yesterday to a guy I worked with a few years ago who had been a crack addict for 40 years and had spent most of that time in prison and couldn't read and write, and had no idea what he liked doing, because he'd never done anything except take crack and be in prison. So we were really starting from the scratch, as though he was a big child, really, of try something out. It's like start from, as you were talking about the Ikigai, Dave, and we both love this, is, we'll just start from what do I love doing. But I think it's, and I'm going to reach out to her, of course, and do one of those with her. But I think that's the thing of, of recognizing that for a lot of people, it's a very painful question. And it causes that feeling of my life is unfulfilling. My life doesn't have meaning, because my life doesn't have purpose if I don't have a passion, and I'm spending my life like living that passion.
Yeah, everything I do, it's my passion's written on my t-shirt and on the inside band of my underwear, and it's stuck with it's above my bed, and it's on a mirror, and it's in my car and on my key ring, and it's a screensaver on my phone, damn it. All of those things. Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, so if you're watching to the end of this and you haven't got bored with our conversation, which if you have, we understand, and some of this might resonate with you, and you might be watching this thinking, you know what you're saying makes sense, and you want to have a conversation with either of us, that is absolutely cool. Linda, where can people find you?
Well, just to add on to that, Dave, I think we've been
There's always more. There's always more, isn't there? There's always more. Let's bring this to an end. No, Linda doesn't want that.
Well, all I was going to say is, to really add on to what you were just saying there, Dave. I think there's, we've been talking about a lot of different themes, and there's a few things that have come up specifically, such as the Ikigai or sustainers and drainers, and you might be curious about those things, or would specifically like to work on those areas. So just to kind of highlight that as well, that either myself or Dave, can absolutely go through that with you. So I am on social media, but probably the easiest place to find me is on Facebook. Just look for me, and if you have trouble finding me, I'll say this to people: put in Linda Thompson London. For some reason, that brings me up to the top.
Does it? I didn't know that, actually.
And I think there's a number of Linda Thompsons, and then you'll find me, and you can join my group directly on my profile, or just send me a message, and I'd love to hear from you.
Love it. And you can find me via my website, which is www.davethecoach.co.uk, and whatever social channel this is you're watching this on, there'll be a DM thing around as well. But you can find me on Facebook and Instagram mostly, apart from that, and a YouTube. I'm playing with YouTube a bit more recently as well, which is where this will probably be too. So thank you for listening. See you later.
Yeah,
bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Oh, I've missed the button again. Look, I've missed the button.